Gnogen is a big brand in Multiverse X. They have killed it with a lot of amazing art. They've done a lot of comics, and they're going into Web3 gaming now as well. So we're getting ready for some of that coming out. And the biggest things that came out in the last week was the mining smart contract, which is a really cool, unique feature. No other project I've seen has a mining smart contract for their utility token. And we'll go through that first, and then also the revamps that came out, which obviously everyone is loving since I'm seeing all the PFPs down there. Love to have you all here today. And I think we can go into the mining contract. So um, I just wanted to start off with one question, which was how, with the mining smart contract, Josh, could you like briefly for like 30 seconds or like a minute or something, just explain how exactly that works and why that's different to normal staking for other projects?
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely want to get into like how this all came to be, but we'll talk about like what it is. Basically, staking is something that guarantees your returns, right? You put in an NFT and the issuance to how many tokens you get back is more or less known through that protocol. This has some intricacies if you are a US-based company or entity like Notion Studios is at the moment. And so we had to kind of work around that the best that we could. We wanted to make a gaming universe with a token involved, and there were some legal challenges after all the legal conversations I had met. So how it works is you put your NFTs into our smart contract that's really mining, built on proof of stake. And every day, the smart contract will shuffle all the participants into two equal stacks, and from there it basically turns into the children's card game War, where the first two cards flip up, and whoever has the higher number is going to win the quote unquote battle. And after all the battles are happening in the smart contract, the original two stacks will be down to zero, right? They'll be depleted. So then you create two new stacks. You have a stack of all the winners, then you have a stack of all the losers, and then the winners get to share the spoils, right? And then the next logical question is, okay, how do you know who gets what in the winner stack? Do they all kind of share the rewards? And that depends on the power score of every NFT in the winner stack. So whether you had a power score of 200 or you had a power score of 77, that's going to impact how much of the daily rewards that you're going to see that day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I want to say that this is one of the things I've always loved about you, Josh, is how you don't take chances and you don't compromise or take unnecessary risks. And this is something that some people may not realize or really put any thought into. But the decision, like you were saying about going with mining versus staking, that could potentially have big implications for the future. And you could have just taken the easy route that everyone else does. Heck, you could have even gone through XOXNO or Frame It staking and have it out 6 months ago or a year ago even. And we all could have been farming GNG way back then. But you took the secure path, which is you're kind of following what Multiverse X does, which I absolutely love. They don't take any chances when it comes to security and uh, risks, which is great, and I have to give you major props for that. And before anything else, thanks everyone for coming to the space here. Go ahead, hit that like, share it out. Let's get tons of people in here. As you all know, we've got so much going on with Nogen and some cool stuff going on. We're going to be asking some questions. If you have any questions, toss them in the chat. Go ahead, raise your hand as well. We'll bring some people up later. And yeah, I just want to say that again, Josh. I really appreciate the way you handle this, and I hope everyone else does as well. Because yes, it might be frustrating, and yes, it might lead to some delays, but it's all going to be 100% worth it in the end. That's for sure. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I saw this thing happening where, I probably a year ago, I saw this extended bear market approaching us. And I knew that anything cool that you release is just going to kind of get swept under the rug in a span of like 2 weeks, maybe a month tops. And so there really wasn't any need to like rush out and try to lead in that bear market. What it was really all about was building everything on safe foundations and building off of first principles. And I definitely took a lot of cues from MVX, but also just my background in construction. You know, you measure twice and cut once. And with staking, you're right. I mean, even before Zoxno had that platform available, we had that option. Like the button was always on the table to just release a staking contract. In fact, many teams did that. I mean, it wasn't hard. I mean, I think it was like you paid like maybe 5,000-6,000 for the smart contract. You pay a front end person just to string that together, another $3,000-4,000, and boom, you had staking. So it wasn't ever like it was difficult for us. And so it was a little bit challenging to hear a lot of the naysayers are like, oh, look at this brand. They have staking, they have airdrops, and Gnogen, what are they doing? And I'm just sitting there like, okay, you know, we'll take all of that right now. But just watch us when we finally release our products. Things will start to make sense for people. And they have. And I don't see that stopping because the best of what we have to release is still ahead of us. What we've released so far is essentially we're just setting the table, right? We're putting the plates on the table, the utensils, the napkins, the cups. We don't even have any food on the table yet. And when that comes, then it's going to be like, whoa, okay, that's what they were setting up this whole time. They're setting up like this grand feast for all of us to enjoy. And that moment's going to be just beautiful because it's going to prove all the supporters right. And then everyone who's been kind of hating on it, they're going to be like, why am I even hating on this still? Like, I had a reason to do it before, but like, I hope people are going to continually reassess us. And, you know, I think that those are going to be some logical conclusions.
100%. Yeah, no, those are all great points too. And I look at it just again like how Multiverse X does things. They're putting all the foundational pieces in place, the building blocks, and that's exactly what you're doing. And again, I really hope people see that and appreciate it. And from just the two launches we've had so far with the mining and the revamp, I know for me it was absolutely flawless and clean. It looks great, it works great, and I've been reading all the reviews. I haven't seen anyone have any issues, which is it's just great. It goes to show how much detail and effort was put into this. So, congrats again on that. And I see Rad's got a question now.
I just wanted to reiterate a lot of that what you were saying, because it is amazing to see a builder. Because I know a year ago in Nogen's Discord, Josh was saying, "Oh, I don't know about staking because of regulation." And look what's happened. The US has gone completely against crypto. It's gone completely against any sort of asset, digital asset. So it's a very smart move, which is coming out in dividends now. And I think I want to go a little bit further with that, because it's not just a smart move; it's just cool as well. I mean, staking's a bit boring. You just put it in there, you leave it, nothing happens. There's no gamification of it. Whereas this mining smart contract is actually quite cool. I quite enjoy seeing the battle results. I can then see like 10 results or 5 results back or whatever. And I can just see like how it's doing and everything. And I love that personally. And
Yeah. It brings so much context into the entire universe before we actually have our TV shows or movies or games out, right? It's like I think a big problem with Nogen for a lot of people kind of on the fence. It's like, okay, why is this out? Okay, now they have this thing over here, and then they also have this thing over here. And in my mind, there's like this big vision of how these things all play together, but until like visuals and better high production value things hit the market, a lot of people are not going to see a lot of those things right away. And I think that's what the Great War does, at least in the short term. It gives people context of how this universe is all playing together, at least kind of the first hints of it.
And it's been great to watch so far too and see everything play out. I'm loving messing with the dashboard, seeing the rankings and the scores and seeing how everything works. So definitely well done. It's better than I expected for sure. Being able to see the stats and the individual games played, the matches, who you're playing against, all that stuff. That's cool. It's definitely more than I was expecting. I thought it would just be a straight up you win or you lose today, and then maybe a ranking page. But no, you took it much further, which is so cool. And so, question I have is, I believe either you or Nogin or together, you have quite a few validators and Nogons and miners yourself, but I don't think you have them in play, do you?
No, no, we don't. I mean, this is something that I saw from layer ones. You know, I always kind of wondered if layer ones are staking their own token from the pre-allocations and the private sales. And I didn't really feel good about that ever. And so I thought that when we were in that situation where we could bring in a huge amount of the supply, I told myself we would never do those things. So, I mean, I have personal NFTs that I've purchased and I've put those into the smart contract for mining. But all the treasury ones that Nogin has, those will not go into mining. And I think it's a little bit counter logic, right? Because the whole reason we didn't give ourselves team tokens is, you know, of course the legal things, but also the challenge of like, okay, if we want these tokens, we've really got to go out and build things that people want. And if that happens, Dave, I mean, we're going to be like swimming in GNG tokens. So I don't think that's going to, you know, having tokens, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Got it. Okay. Is I to kind of preface that and give some context as to why I'm asking. And I think I've asked you this in the past as well. And to be a little critical, but on the good side, is you've made some very unusual moves, such as not issuing any team tokens, which you've given reasons for, and I think that's commendable. And then obviously not staking all the miners that you have in your control. I think you'd definitely be at the top of the leaderboard by far.
I mean, look, Dave, we haven't even put all of the DAO NFTs into those staking programs because we understand that these are huge advantages for the DAO projects to basically farm their own token. And we haven't even done that. We haven't even sold any DAO NFTs, even when they were up, you know, 4, 5, 6x. And so we're trying to lead by example and trying to be good custodians of this ecosystem's trust. Because once you lose that, you really don't have anything as an NFT project. So, and one small mistake can completely derail that trust. So it really is all about having as flawless of a record as possible.
Got it. And yeah, that's very, again, commendable, and I think that's awesome that you're doing that. Speaking on a personal note, just for myself, and I don't know if anyone else agrees with this. This is just for me. I would say that at times I think you give away too much. I mean, if you were to take a percentage of the total token, I would have no problem with that. Or if you were to mine with all your available miners, I'd have no problem with that. Or if you would have charged for the land, stuff like that. Because as a business owner and knowing how a lot of this stuff works, I know there's a lot of costs in that. So just you made these decisions and they're great, and I know the community appreciates them. For future decisions, I would just say, for me, I don't think you need to always give away the farm. And that's just because you are incredibly generous, and no one can say that you have not given more than you have
You
taken
say that,
at this point.
Dave, but a lot of people say that, right? A lot of people get on their high horse on Twitter and they're like, they got another collection coming out. They're taking all the liquidity. I don't think these people really look at any of the numbers because if they did, they'd come to the conclusions that you have, right? If they looked at the numbers, they would see clearly. Like I don't even know that we're in the top 10 anymore. Maybe of how much e-gold that we've asked for our products. But yet on the flip side of that, when you add up all the volume and the engagement and the activity, the Twitter engagement that we've created for this ecosystem, we're top 2 or top 3. And it's like, where is the mental disconnect for people thinking that we're just here to extract the value? I think from day one, we've only been here to extract minimum value to then give back maximum value. So it's something that's always kind of confused me. But hey, I mean, it seems like we're held to a really high standard. So I've got to take that as a compliment to a certain extent.
For sure. And yeah, just you always have to remember the critiques and the critics are always going to be louder than your fans. But know that I am not alone in saying this. As I talk to a ton of people, we do realize what goes into it and appreciate all you've given out. So thank you for
But
that.
Dave, can
And
I can
to
I
move on
maybe
to,
ask your hard question for you, right? Which is like how am I going to pay for all the developments if I keep giving all this away for free, right?
100%. That's exactly where I'm
Sure.
going with this.
Sure. So, look, I think about this all the time. And at times in the past year where it was like a bear market, like, have I had moments where I regretted, like, oh, maybe I should have done this, maybe I should have done that? Yeah, I've had moments where I regretted it. But this is how I see it, right? The things that we're trying to build, they couldn't get paid for by some of the other things. Like, um, when we were ready to sell land, like the market was already kind of depressed, right? So if we were going to sell the land, we would have had to do it really early. But really early, I was only focused on making like the best collections that I could. I wasn't really thinking that this is going to be this huge financial opportunity. And then when Nogans comes out, and then I see like the path for this to be a huge brand, I get so excited that I start telling everybody my plans. I'm like, this is what you can do with that. And if things go well, we can do this with that. And then people sort of took the enthusiasm as a solo artist. And I don't think I ever made any kind of false advertising about that. I was like a regular guy making like art that I was passionate about. And every step along the way, people were able to follow. And I had been transparently kind of narrating what's happening. And then the people on the fringe, on their high horse, they're coming around saying, um, oh, like how are they going to build this giant metaverse? And I'm like, dude, everything that we've done anyways is all a dream. Like, you could have told me how was I going to build any of this at any point, and I would have never believed you. So all of this is a dream. And okay, so back to the whole land sale thing. It's like, by the time we were as a company ready to have that land sale, what could we have gotten out of that, out of the MVX ecosystem? We would have got lucky to take like 1.7 million, something like this, at that sale. And then what is 1.7 million even going to build? Like, that can't even build a metaverse. That can't even build a system where 10,000 lands could all have their own memory files of what's being built on those lands. And then, not to mention, like, the collisions alone on the 3D development side for that much content, it would have blew through that budget many times over. So it's not that I want to give away things for the sake of being dumb, right? And I know that's not what you're insinuating at all, Dave. It's just some people are out there insinuating that. I'm calculating what is the risk return of sacrificing your reputation for short-term monetary gains, and you're not even able to really pay for all those things anyways. And so then the question becomes, okay, then how are you going to pay for those things? And we have a plan for that. Like, if we were to raise that modest amount of funding that we're trying to get from VCs, that, first of all, there's a killer idea that basically unlocks the potential of Ready Player One that we're going to build a prototype for that and then show the VCs. But the trading card game also gets completed with a modest amount of funding. And the level of art that I know that we can make on a trading card game, like, we would be second to none. I mean, we might be tied with others, like with Parallel, but that's like a huge, like, that's a highest level possible in trading card games. Not to mention, I feel like we would have an advantage over what they're doing, right? Like, no shade to them. They're the leaders. They're who all of us, Alluvium, all these projects, they're looking at Parallel for inspiration. But I mean, they're not perfect. I think their KPI also suggests these things, right? They're making this like sci-fi universe that nobody has ever heard about. Whereas if we made a trading card game at that level of production with our characters in the world that we have already built, Dave, we're looking at a money printer, right? That's when we can start building all of these things. And so, like, it's not about being overly kind and generous. It's about like not wanting to kill a golden goose, and that's in a lot of ways: financial, trust, just the story that we have, right? We've built so much, and you never know what you're going to give up by getting something else.
Makes perfect sense, and I appreciate you being so open and honest about it. And the thing I hope everyone here that's listening takes from that is that you are putting all into this, and you're not giving away the farm, but you've been very, very generous in everything you've done. And anyone who could possibly critique you and Nogin about just trying to eat funds away from the ecosystem is just totally off base. They really need to look at everything that's been put out, everything you've done, and they'll really see the big picture. So I appreciate that. But to get off that on just a quick question side topic, I'd love to know, what's your personal favorite skin or color for these the revamp? Do you have one?
Wow, I've been looking at them, and they're, of course, like the blockchain one was always my favorite, right? Um, and I think that'll never change. But it's getting hard. It's getting really hard to say, like, if I had Eagle to buy my favorite, I would definitely get the blockchain one. It's getting harder and harder to say that. Some of the ones that have come out, like when you're working through the artwork, um, and we really colored that ourselves. Like we had professional people that did all the line work and things like that. But as far as coloring, decision making, layering, everything, that was all done like in my household, right? So doing all of that, we see, um, okay, that trait looks cool and this trait looks cool. But then after it had come out and people were sharing them on Twitter, you're really seeing a lot of these things for the first time. And I think seeing it in that context was like, whoa, there's some really out there ones that you don't really expect them to take that leap up. And I mean, death was already like clean, but it had never been like outstanding. I think when people were surfing the original ones, death was kind of just there, and now it like stands out so much. Same with the Nogon's skin color, but then like other ones like bubblegum, right? We kind of fixed all the coloring issues that were present in bubblegum on the Gen ones, and now when I look at bubblegum, I'm like, damn, I really like how like the soft purples are interacting with the yellow and the pinks, because that's like all of our favorite bubblegum brand. So yeah, I don't know if that was a totally accurate answer, but it's a lot of these colors. I don't think there's one color that I feel like we totally missed. I think all of them got a pretty severe upgrade.
I think it's hard as well for someone, a creator, a founder, to choose what their favorite is as well. I would say I love the Christmas horn. That's one of my
Oh, I
favorites.
love
Blockchain's
that. I
really
love
cool.
that one.
I love what you did with that. That was great.
The
And I can't
ancient
wait to
the
see them at
ancient
Christmas
horns as
time.
well, Rad. That was
Oh, yeah,
one where like by color they just look really different and really detailed.
for sure. I mean, I don't think anyone could say anything about the detail, because what you've done, what the team has done with this is just incredible. And I look forward to. I've actually been holding off my PFP one for Rad Reese, which you can see in the audience. I've been holding off doing that one because I'm so attached to that one. I'm not even sure if I want to burn it or not. But I'm sure it would look so cool. And one of my favorite things about this revamp is actually, and this is what I heard you say in Discord a few months ago, Josh. You said that one of the big things with this is a bit like with DGods and stuff, you wanted to make sure that there wasn't a single no-gon which anyone was like, it's I don't want this. This doesn't look good. And I think it's safe to say that you've actually accomplished that pretty well. I revamped a few of the ones that I didn't like the look of, and now like they do look just incredible now. The detail is amazing, the coloring is better, and they just look a lot more cool. So I think that's pretty amazing. I wanted to actually ask a question about this. I saw your little response to GRMX, and I just wanted, just for people that may not understand, because I didn't understand before I saw your response, could you please explain the process of creating that PFP image for these revamped Nogons?
Yeah, I
Because it's
think
not just a
I
top.
think for any projects out there that are making PFP projects, when they see what we did, they're probably going to be like, "How did they do that?" And there aren't many collections that are able to accomplish that. Like Azuki did it with some of their layering stuff. Some of the other projects have done it, but that adds an entire layer of complexity that doesn't have to be there, right? You don't have to insist on having the layer do that. You can just change the art on the fundamental layer, and you'll never run into those layering issues. For us, we drew that full body dragon, and then we drew all the traits and the armors to kind of fit on that. And then in order to get the elemental ring behind the head without compromising like the overall color composition of this, we had to slice the Nogon from the body and then its right side wing versus its left wing, and then we had to slice all the armors too. So, and then we had 17 colors that we had to do that for. So it was like, it was a crazy hard process to do, to get that to come out that way. And it's because we wanted this PFP view to be special. Of course, we could have just easily just focused on the full body and then just cropped it, because that was always on the table. But I was like, no, we've already come this far with all this work. And so we just invested. And I think that's why the project looks as strong as it does right now, because there were so many points where one of the artists was like, this is done. And then I basically threw out the entire first version of it. Like, the artist said, this is done. And I took all of that work and went to another artist and I said, redraw all of these traits as you would draw them. And then after that comes out, we basically did like maybe half the work as that again. So I sat down with the Finnish artist, who's Josh Adams. Josh Adams is like a very well known. He's a legend in his career, in his space. He has a Pulitzer Prize for drawing. And so I took all the stuff that he drew, and then we spent months. I mean, we really spent months attacking the line work, getting everything perfect. And then we had to do all the coloring, like tweaking the color values for that was an insane process. So like, it's it hurts to see like a friend, like Germ's a friend, right? Like we have several conversations in DMs, and I freaking gave him a validator for his birthday and stuff like that. And to see that without even coming to talk to me, it definitely rubbed me the wrong way. But yeah, I mean, no one can take away the work that was put into the collection. I don't care how many people make how many threads. The people that actually make artwork and make PFP projects and collections, they know what we did, like just looking at it. So I hang my hat on that every day of the week.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate to everyone, this is months of work for free. We have not paid for these revamped Nogons. This is just something that we get for free just because Josh thought,
No,
what,
but
this
Rad,
collection could be
that's
better.
the standards that we're held to, right? Like any other project does that, everyone starts clapping, right? Like, look at what they did. But for us, it's like, oh, what could they have spent those funds on elsewhere to give us value elsewhere? As if this revamp didn't raise the entire floor of not only this collection but our entire brand, as well as bringing a ton of attention to the Great War. It's like they see this one narrow negative, and they're completely willing to just ignore all of the other positives that have come with these decisions. And that's the standards that we're always held to. We're going to do this thing great, and then somebody else in the corner of the room that's not even like invested that much into Nogin is going to sit there as the armchair quarterback. They're going to say, oh, like they could have done that with this. And it's like, all right, great. I mean, I'll take that. I'll take that.
If you're not pissing someone off, then you're not doing the good job, really, to be honest.
Yeah, amen, man.
But no, I love that. And I actually wanted to ask a bit of a fanboy question here. Will we ever find out which Nogons were handcrafted, the original Nogons?
Yeah, we will. But look, this is gonna get me probably into like hot water with the people that own them, because it was a tough decision to like really make all the ugly Nogons go away, because some people bought these like what they thought were handcrafted ones, and now like the gap between the handcrafted to the rest of the collection, it's been like blunted a lot. And it's like it's more of like a philosophical like debate, right? It's like, do you want to own the best Nogon in a collection with zero volume, or do you want to own what's still probably the best Nogon, just not as the best as it was before, on a collection that has a ton of attention and ton of excitement around it? And I don't know, people fall on either side of that argument, and I can't say that either side is necessarily wrong either, but we are going to see like what the handcrafted ones are. And I think that even if there's going to be some things that I'm going to try and do to sort of like make that pain a little bit less painful. Like maybe we can do some cool things on the special like the dynamic layers that we have, they can still get something that's like completely like nobody else is going to have that. But also they have like just objectively higher statistics across the board. So whether that's in the Great War or it's in racing or it's in some of these other things that are going to come out in the pipeline, because racing is not the last arcade game that I have planned for Nogons. So those Nogons are always going to be, you know, probably the top 30. So it is going to come out hopefully this month. We can put together like a small thing to kind of launch that and let everybody know about it. But I'm sure there's going to be some backlash about that.
There's always backlash on everything I find. But I just wanted to ask one more question with the revamp, and then I'll hand it over to Dave. Can you just explain to people that may not know what a dynamic NFT is and what that means for this collection of Nogons?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So like dynamic NFTs are NFTs that change. And for the longest time, people had like kind of just totally shut their brain off to this concept because NFTs are not supposed to change, right? But there are crafty ways to do it. So how we're trying to do it is like the PFP and the metadata will never change. And you know that because they're minted onto the blockchain using Multiverse X's metadata standards, and those links, those URIs are on IPFS. So right there, the immutability is stamped. You can't change the PFP nor the metadata. So then it's like, all right, so what can you change? And from this point on, it's about creativity and it's about creative execution of those ideas. Imagine there's a world event and it's like it has everybody buzzing, right? I don't know what it could be. So I'm going to just use a really dumb example, a super dumb example to paint the whole picture here. Like, what if the whole alien thing happens, right? Like this, whether it's real or whether it's fake. Like, what if the whole alien thing happens and it just grips the community, or even something less stupid? Like, what if someone decides to run across the United States like Forrest Gump, right? And this becomes like this international sensation. Then we can take advantage of those moments by making just new armor sets and slightly tweaking the existing traits just a little bit. Like, no, we probably don't have the sanity left to do another like 7 months of artwork. But if you just tweak them a little bit and you kept them all pinned to the percentages that they appear, then people can get those artworks on a dynamic layer that doesn't impact their PFP or any of the IPFS data at all. It's all done on our centralized parts and they get uploaded brand new artwork. The first one that's coming out is like pixel Nogons. So I wanted to do pixels for a long time, but you know, I don't want everyone to get upset about the dilution. Well, now here's this way, right? We have a dynamic layer that we're going to do pixel Nogons, and you get it for free, right? Well, free-ish. You have to pay GNG because everything going forward is going to be GNG. But you know, you don't have to mint a new NFT to get these new dynamic layers. So that's one example of it. So on the artwork side, we're going to do so many cool things. Even in the future, we kind of left this field wide open. So those who kind of dig into the metadata is set to api.gnogen.io. So that means we have incredible flexibility to really layer the infrastructure behind the databases however we want them. So whether it's like in a game, you can level up and get new armor, and all that new armor gets updated on the dynamic layers, and you can see all those on our D app that we're creating, this everything D app, or their stats, because there's another link for api.gnogen.io that's set to stats, and that's also centralized. So even though we don't necessarily know the finished versions of these games, we've left the URLs open-ended so we can control how all of that functions on the back end. So yeah, that's what dynamic means for us.
That's crazy. And I think what it kind of shows is how early we still are in the whole NFT game and ecosystem, and what can be done with them in the future when it comes to games and automatically being adapted based off of whatever activity or weapon or armor or whatever that's going on. And so really cool to see all that stuff that's going to be rolling out in the future with these, and for Gnogen to be one of the leaders in it, to build this amazing collection that is dynamic and is going to be updating and moving with the trend, which is awesome. So question that I'm sure that everyone has on their mind, and I know you haven't really slept the past few days, and things have been crazy. Obviously, we know we've got the 3D, the full body coming out. I think you said in a few days, but what's next? What's coming up for Nogin?
Well, I've been really excited about getting this part of things out of the way, so to speak, like getting it pushed live. And then once it's pushed live, the public will do the rest of the work, right? Like up until the point where it's pushed live, we have to do all the work. We have to maintain the hype. We have to tell people it's coming. We have to disappoint people. But after it's out, the people take it the rest of the way. So now Nogons in the Great War, you can see that the people are doing like 5-10x way more marketing than what we could do out of our account. So that's like a relief for us, and that relief creates open space mentally and time and resources. So now that's going to get filled in with the game. The game is like our spear tip. It's going to be the thing to poke the bubble that had sort of been containing us, because and this goes in a lot of different facets. It's like, from the investors to the traders to the fudders, like everyone has these objections as to like, Nogin can't become this. Like they can't become this because of this. They can't do this because of this. And the game is going to be the thing to break through all of that noise, right? Because right now we are quote unquote an NFT project. I think the Great War is the first thing to kind of like offer a bridge to the other side that all NFT projects are pretty much trying to get to, which is like, how do you become a brand that's worth and valued more than just pictures, right? So what's on the other side of that bridge are the games for us. And then there's another bridge after the games, which is going to be the thing, that we really make an international presence on. But the Validator Arcade Game is the next thing right now. So we've already started on that. I think people following the biweekly updates, they can see like we're not starting at zero on that. So now it's about like diving in. There's really nothing else on my plate for Nogin, at least, to take up a lot of my time. So I'm excited. All the detail and the care that we've put into everything from Midas to Nogons to Hermes, Doja, Validators. I mean, all of that detail and creative, like just boost that we seem to have is going to go all into this Validator game. And it's like, I'm not worried about people sleeping or fudding. It's once these things come out, they're self-evident and they speak for themselves.
For sure. Yeah. And you bring up a great point about the marketing. My entire Twitter feed is just nothing but these revamps, and they look absolutely amazing. And I love how people are rolling them out kind of slowly. And I actually just started doing that. I'm releasing 2 of mine a day for 2 to 3 weeks now. And I know Vanessa's doing that. She's holding off on revamping hers so she could show just 1 or 2 a day here or there. Rad mentioned he's going to hold off on his V1 for a while, which he's attached to that. And I know a lot of people are. So it's going to keep the marketing machine moving. And I see Shalia down there is taunting me with the dark mode one that I traded with him earlier, which is one of the most gorgeous ones in the entire collection. But
Oh,
yeah,
those dark modes are slapping. I forgot to mention
oh my
that in
god,
the beginning. Like dark modes, like those are so nice now because of the detail in the background of the skin. I love those.
yeah, I think that's been my favorite since you started teasing out them a while back. It just they look absolutely phenomenal, and combined with the golden circle and the golden armor there, that one is just particularly amazing. I look at mine every single morning, and I look at just scroll through. They all look absolutely amazing. So again, congrats on what you guys put out, because it's the best I've seen so far. So, and I love it.
That's utility. I don't mean to like be all tongue in cheek about it, but like that is utility, and people who keep like wanting to brush that aside as if it's not utility, it's like they're looking at the world with one eye closed. That is utility among a lot of other utilities.
100%. And one of the best examples I could point to is, for me, Hermes. I have over 50 different Hermes comics because he's my favorite hero at this point. And I know there hasn't been any stated utility or anything in the future that's going to really happen with him, but and I don't care because I love the art, and that's the utility for me. And growing up as a comic book collector, it's basically a digital comic for me. And I figure if I'm going to collect these comics and just love to look at them and have them, there's no difference here. And the heroes is what you're creating there. It's amazing, and can't wait to see what else is coming with Ether. But I do see we have someone else that's requested to come on up and speak here. Fantastic.
No,
Let's
and
bring them up.
DB, just before Fantastic comes up with the question, it's like there's a lot of things in this world that offer utility, a ton of utility in the way of enjoying things. And it's like, when did Web3 totally just throw away the fact that enjoying things is why we buy things in the freaking first place? And it's like, you see a first edition Charizard, Gem Mid 10, and you get it as a gift. Are you going to throw it away because it doesn't have utility? That's just like, what the fuck are people thinking sometimes with that? It's mind blowing. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, 100%. I think the current NFT culture has really created that, because if you don't offer some type of a staking or weekly rewards or airdrops or whatever, that's what people relate to utility. But you're 100% spot on that utility is art as well. So I know we got Fantastic up here. You got a question or what's going on? Let's see. Or Red, if he doesn't come up to the mic.
Yeah, I just wanted to just take this for a second and say that everyone in the audience, thank you for coming. And if you have any questions or comments, just put them in the comment section, or please raise your hand and come up on stage. We are more than happy to discuss many different topics. There is, I think, Fantastico just said that was an accident, was trying to clap. Love it. Honored to be here from the beginning. At work, can only listen. So he's not able to speak right now.
All good. All good. Good to see you, Fantastic. Fantastico, maybe?
Fantastico. But there is a question from Stephen, which I'll get to now. So he quote tweets one of your tweets, Josh, says, your tweet is, come on, GRM. Oh, so basically the response to GRM. And Stephen asks, what defines Web3 expert?
Well, first of all, GRM, he got what he wanted, right? He got the engagement farming out of it because we are a hot topic right now. So kudos, props to him. What makes up a Web3 expert? Am I supposed to answer this question like seriously, or is this like a setup here? I don't know. I'll let you guys answer that. Sorry.
I think it's just it's a little bit of a more philosophical kind of question, because obviously
okay, let's do that then. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Web3 expert is somebody who, look, first of all, they've got to have a proven track record. I think that is in any field where you want to be an expert. You have to have a proven track record. You have to know things that translate to tangible results, and you have to have insights that save projects from certain calamities. And those insights have to be spot on. They have to be rooted with a ton of data and logic to support that. And a lot of times you can make claims that apply to one area, and then you try to apply the same thing in another area, and it just doesn't fit. And I think that sort of breaks the mold of being an expert. And then a ton of reps, like a ton of hours, and a lot of consultations, and just looking back at your past performance and all of that. It's like being an expert in anything else, right? So
yeah, cool. I think that answers it pretty well. But Stephen is on stage now, if you wanted to maybe clarify, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Yep, all good.
Cool. Yeah, that was a joke just because I saw GRM's post about that. It wasn't a joke as much as, I was curious the definition. Unfortunately, I actually missed the response because as you were adding me as a speaker, you know, it cut out. So like as soon
Oh
as I
man,
as soon as I got back, it was like, okay, and that's what I think. It's like, okay, great. But no, yeah, I mean, I was just kind of wondering, just from your response to refer to somebody as a Web3 expert, it's like, that's pretty cool. I was just, I mean, it was kind of a joke, but it was also out of curiosity, you know, what defines a Web3 expert, you know, because if you're going to call him a Web3 expert, then, you know, I guess you at that point are opening yourself to acknowledging, you know, his criticisms and what he's saying. So it's like, if he's not an expert, then whatever he's saying is just FUD BS. But if you call him an expert, you're kind of upping the ante and acknowledging that, yes, this person does have proper perspective. So any response to that would be, I guess, beneficial or
no, I
just
mean it's
interesting to hear
he
from.
he called himself an expert, so I'm just using the title he gave himself
Oh,
on
I
that.
didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Well, at least we have one listener to the recording afterwards with Stephen there. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to go too much into any drama or what GRM said and stuff. I think we covered that quite a lot. And Stephen, I get your point there that was a joke, and I should have read that a little bit better. To be
No, you're
fair.
good. Well, now that I am up here, I guess I just wanted to say my appreciation. Last I was on the space with you, Josh, I was just a listener. But yeah, dude, I have dealt with a few different like staking protocols within Multiverse X, you know, people throwing out this utility. And like some of them are better than others, but I will just say that like the war room and everything, like it's a breath of fresh air because it's seamless, it's
Let's
elegant,
go.
and I mean it literally just it just works so smoothly. And it's kind of a bummer that some of these other just basic, literally not mining, but just staking you know, platforms, it's just like, yo, like this is laggy, like this is actually not even usable. Like some of my NFTs don't get recognized, they get lost in smart contracts. Like, you know, I'm not gonna call it any names, but it's like, come on, like I don't truly know how difficult this is. It's not the point of what I'm trying to say. Just hats off to you for everything you did. You know, building this, bringing people around this mission. It's a pretty awesome.
You know what? Thank you, Steven. I really can't take personal credit for like how fast it is, how smooth it is, how well it works. Because things have to work in order for people to not feel frustrated about the experience. That all that credit goes to the smart contract devs who are Horizon Labs. Goes to our amazing superstar full stack dev Frumba42, who just keeps on making shit that lasts and works and works at a high level. A lot of people don't know, like he's coming from a background where he was like CTO for big companies. And like we have the privilege and the luxury of having that guy produce our dApps. And so that's amazing. But you know, I want people to take away one extra thing. You know, after we share all that credit, like we deserve credit for making things that people like using that hides away the complexity. That's all like our creative juices, right? And I'm not showing off. I want people to have bullishness about us that whatever we produce going forward, that team is producing those things. So I think that's something that speaks to the how well the game is going to be put together, right? Even if we can't see sneak peeks right now.
That's great. And since I am up here again, I was going to ask a question about the original validators. I saw somebody responding somewhere along the lines of, I have this validator, like, you know, what exactly is the purpose anymore? And that brought me back to the previous space. And you said something about it, how it's like basically kind of up to the holders and the community to kind of define the value of the validators. So I have some very loose thoughts about that, but I was hoping that you could, again, just kind of reiterate that, kind of the intention behind the validators initially for those that may not know, and then also expand a little bit more on what you mean by that, how the community is to define the value of the validators.
Okay, great question, right? So when BAYC first comes out, like literally the only utility was to go on their website and draw graffiti, like draw like little dicks on a bathroom wall. That was literally the entire utility, and they just blew the f up. I mean, they went so high off of that. Their website was not good. Okay, again, I just spoke to the fact utility was non-existent, and that's what I mean by community creates a lot of it. And like it's a fact. It's not me trying to. I heard someone say like, you're gonna, when in doubt, blame the community, and it's like, well, it's a really negative, warped way of thinking, first of all. But it takes the power away from the community, because the community can make or break any project. If a community decided tomorrow to go and buy the worst collection in this ecosystem, they could pump it to a 20 e-gold floor. Like, for sure, they could do that. It just takes the commitment of a community to do that. But coming to the actual utility of validators, with all of that said, that's just not how we're going to build Nogin. You know, it's fine. It's viable, and it has worked in the past. It's just not how we're going to build Nogin. So validators is going to see center stage with the games that come out. The first one is the arcade game, and then we're already getting a lot of attention to have the validator 3D models go into other games, other metaverses, and this is going to really balloon the whole IP awareness of the collection. And is that utility? If it's not, like, tell me what they want a validator to do. Do you want to like wallet connect to an airplane and have the validator fly it with AI? I mean, what are the levels to like having utility for IP? They keep moving the bar.
Yeah, they do for sure. I just want to respect your time as well, Josh. Do you have much more time for more questions, or do you have to get off soon?
Let's do like 10-15, and then I have to run soon.
Okay, cool. Alex, you've had your NFT OG. You've had your hand up for a while there. You can go ahead, and then Martin, if you had something to say, you can go after.
Hey guys, nice to see you all here. First off, I just wanted to give a big shout out to Josh. I mean, I've already personally congratulated, but not before other people. So big congrats to you, mate. I mean, like for me personally, I mean, as you probably know, I went pretty bullish on Gnogon's
Hell yeah.
the last days, just because like the whole collection is so superb, and I feel like that's the main thing with a collection, is that the whole thing needs to be freaking awesome. If you only have a few special traits, a few nice NFTs in the collection, you know, it will never go places. And I feel like you kind of really hit the magic spot with it, and it's really unique. And I'm really hoping that it gets the recognition it truly deserves. So next thing you need to do, we need to pump it up with other communities and stuff. So hopefully it gets picked up. I mean, like all of the biggest NFT projects that made it were unique and something new to the space. So that's one critique that I don't agree with GRM, was it being different, you know, or trying too hard. I feel like he only kind of looked at it from a PFP perspective, which I kind of agree that it's not very visible on the mobile, but that's...
Oh, okay, but OG, like, what about his PFP? It's basically like the darkest thing. You can't make out any of the details, so it's a little bit hypocritical. But sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I just kind of, I don't want to defend him, but I mean, like, that's like the only thing that I can agree in a small way. However, that could be rectified easily, as you said, with dynamic NFTs. You could, you know, we could easily do a Gnoji booth. I don't know why I keep saying that over and over again, but that would be pretty sweet. I really like the youth booth. Yeah, I mean, like overall, I'm just so happy with him, and I just left one in my wallet, one V1, which I'm just keeping for my personal, let's say, future. But all of the rest, they're really freaking awesome. So anyway, just wanted to sum up. Great job, and really looking forward to everything that's got to come.
Well, my brother, you know, NFT and OG and I talk a lot on DMs. He's helping us with our merchandise, and just a fantastic human being. All my conversations with him have been super pleasant, and he's really like coming up fast in the space, I would say, and that's a result of putting in a ton of hours and dedication and passion behind things. You know, with things being relevant as a PFP, like let's look at pre-revamp. Were people even using Nogons as PFPs? Like across the board, I mean. You had some people that were really like found the Nogon that they really wanted, right? And so they were rocking those as PFPs. But everybody else, like I'm like putting my hand above my eyes, you know, like I'm like looking left and right. It's not like everybody was using them as PFPs anyways, right? And then we also had sort of like this psychological dilution in the fact that like people by and large, they didn't believe in the Gnogen collection as a whole, right? You had one or not, that's exaggerating. You had a couple, you had a handful that were like, whoa, those Nogens are awesome. But by an entire collection, people were sleeping on them. Like numbers don't lie. Nobody was buying those things. And now, like you have interest, you have attention. And one thing about Nogens is like I really would have wanted to see those like more printed in physicals and hung up on places. And you saw some of that. But even when I was going to do that step, like I really didn't feel like these were meant for art because I made those original Nogons to be very PFP worthy. You know, these are things that I already knew before we made the Nogons collection. I knew the importance of having a super clear PFP aspect. Look at Nogons. Look at the Validator V2 collection. These are all like super clear PFP aspects. So it's not like I didn't know these things, right? But the new revamped Nogons, they're perfect for being appreciated as actual artworks, whether they're the full bodies that are about to come out or they're the PFP versions of them. Like actually, if someone comes into your office or your break room, your game room, and they see the new revamped Nogons like actually framed with the glass over it, they're gonna be like, dude, what the fuck is that? That's pretty cool. But before, it's gonna be like, is that like a childhood show that you appreciated that you just like? What show is that? It's that's the level, right? So we're going at different levels to all of this stuff, and it's not always going to be appreciated, but that's what art is. Good art is like it's like a line in the sand. It's like a post. It's a filter, and some people are going to appreciate it. Some people are going to hate it, and yet others will change their opinion as time goes on, regardless of which of those camps you started out as. And you know, I dare say that we accomplished that. We made artwork. It's got everybody buzzing. It's got most of the people appreciating. It's got some people that feel really strong. I had someone say they want to throw up after seeing the revamp. It's like, sure, nobody believes that, but you have all these strong reactions to the artwork. So I would say on a lot of levels, we have accomplished the goals that we set out. And then if people feel so strongly about the OG Nogons, they're right there. You just click on X Spotlight, you just click it, and it's right there. You know, so I some of this stuff you got to take it with a grain of salt. But I love you, OG. Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to, yeah, I fully agree with what you said, and just wanted to mention that that was just part of my reply to GRM is like think bigger, you know, don't look at it as just a PFP, but as the art and as what it stands for and what it could be in the future. That's kind of the main goal behind it and the vision of Gnogen as a whole. So yeah, just to sum up on that. And yeah, I feel you. I mean, like I don't understand it as well. It's right there. You can just take it, you know. It's no biggie. You left it. So don't understand the issue there.
It's hard to understand it. So I don't know. I can't climb inside someone's mind and see what they see in some of these things that they're saying. So we'll just leave it at that, I guess.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you for the question, Alex. And if anyone else has any questions, please put them in the comments and stuff. I know Bodyweb is asking more about the arcade game. If you want to talk a little bit more on that, Josh, or is it too early to be discussing that?
I'll talk about things that sort of don't break the whole you know, the energy behind the reveal, so to speak. I want the reveal to be a big moment because that's what makes people come back. If you just sort of slow drip things, they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's what these guys are building. And then the expectation is just super high. So we'll just talk about, you know, ancillary things about this game. Let's talk about the intent, right? So first off, we don't have the resources to build like Call of Duty or like a huge metaverse, at least to the level that we want to build them. So what can we build? That was like step one. Step two is like, what game is going to cut through all the noise and actually be a loud signal in this whole landscape, right? So there's only a couple games that can do that. We're going with this sort of viral thing that's super easy for anyone to play, and it almost entirely relies on the social element. We're not going to have a single player element. This will not be something that you can just play on your free time over and over again. We're going to have like focused sessions where the game is more or less just like the background. Like I really took a lot of inspiration when Hi-Rez had his metaverse event for the that single by haters, I think it was, when he had that metaverse event in Decentraland. And when I was there, this, first of all, Decentraland is like pretty broken as a metaverse. Like you can't really do things that you think a metaverse can do. It's basically like World of Warcraft, except that you have to wallet connect. But anyways, that event opened my eyes because I loved it. I loved being there. I didn't care that, you know, it wasn't like a mansion party, or like a, you know, like Wiz Khalifa didn't come, or like the whole, like, you know, I didn't care about any of those things. I had the time of the year. I had my Web3 time of the year at that event. And that's when my mind was opened. It was like what people in Web3 want, they're not expecting like Call of Duty right now, or like a huge open world right now. That's going to come when it comes. And shout out to L1 Mafia. They're definitely trying to get there. They're leading the pack. No shade to them. It's like all respect that they're actually trying to go for that. What people like really want in the short term is a backdrop that allows like the people in the community to come and have fun doing something. And so Decentraland, they had two functions that basically made that event noteworthy for me. One was you can send chats to people in proximity to you, right? So if I type something, someone next to me would see that and they would be able to read it. And the second thing is that you could dance. So you could like just pick out of a subset of dance moves, and you could just spam that over and over. So you would walk over to someone that you knew, right? Like Mr. Red and I danced in the metaverse, right? We could say that, you know? So I would go to him and I would just like bust out a dance move. And just that like was so hype, right? So I don't know if like people are getting what I'm putting down with clarity, because I'm not even being clear with what I'm saying. But like this social element is what people are dying for. That's what they really want right now, truly. And that's what our arcade game is trying to accomplish.
That's really cool, man. Yeah, and I think it is especially hard, especially because, you know, it's a project that you're really looking forward to and you're building a lot, so you don't want to say too much. But I really appreciate the vibe that you're trying to say that it's supposed to have, and I think a lot of people will really be excited about that when it comes. Stephen, go ahead, man.
Yeah, there was something you just said, Josh, about the whole issues that you had with the metaverse, but the takeaway of it was still net positive. It reminded me of I don't know who said it, but it's a famous quote that says that you don't really remember the things that people say, but you remember the way that they make you feel. And I feel like that's exactly what kind of encompassed this experience with Hi-Rez's event was, you know, what the metaverse event that you experienced had to say was, oh, we have some issues and it's not perfect and it may have some bumps along the way, but the way that it made you feel was, you know, undefinable. It was very abstract, but it was a positive feeling. So I mean, that says one thing about what the power of the metaverse is, as much as we want for somebody like me. I'm like, oh, I like the idea of the metaverse, but I prefer real world. But when it comes to a metaverse that's actually going to deliver that same experience, but in the most seamless and kind of without a hiccup, that's going to be very impactful. But anyway, those were just my 2 cents. You don't remember the things people say, you remember the way that they make you feel. It doesn't need to be always perfect, but it needs to be conveyed in some way.
Yeah, I think it was like Maya Angelou or Mother Teresa, or one of those greats that said that. But that, I think that applies to everything that's going on in Web3. Honestly, like from Bitcoin all the way to like, you know, the things that are gripping people today. It's you know, they don't remember what you said or what you did. They remember like how you made them feel. That goes from also personal relationships to all the way up to how corporations are interacting with their communities. And some of that speaks to like some of the delays and the frustrations that people have had with our brand, but that can be extrapolated to like once we do release these things, like another way to see it is that's what I think people are going to remember, right? Like people now that Gnogon's revamps are out, they're not going to remember that it was supposed to be out in February or March or whatever. They're going to remember like that the collection, the OG collection got revamped for free, and that it's amazing, right? And then they're going to have all these dynamic things after that, and then extrapolate that to any of the things that we're doing. The Great War, it's late, but does it work great? Yeah, it does. Does it add tremendous context to the brand, to the social element of this GameFi thing? Yes, it does. And so I have high hopes that our games and our entire trajectory in general, that's where we're going to hang our hat, is like, how did people feel when these things finally came out and they were able to interact with it? And I dare say that's what's causing all this excitement right now.
I agree completely with that. And I think I just want to wrap up in a couple of minutes just to respect people's time. So if anyone has any more questions, please put them in the comment section, or please come up and ask the question. But just whilst we wait for that, and I'll let Dave ask another question if he wants to as well, I wanted to know, with the arcade game, especially with like metaverses and stuff, Decentraland, we're all able to just go in there. We don't have to own anything. We could just have a fun time, like you were saying, with high res and stuff. And I was wondering, with this arcade game that you guys are building, do you have to own a validator to play it, or is it just special perks if you have a validator and you can play anyways?
I go sort of back and forth on this issue a lot because there are actual pros and cons to each approach. I think again, Elron Mafia is sort of doing the same thing where they're experimenting. Like there is no written book on Web3. You just you try things and then you pivot if you have to. And so initially, Mafia started with, I think it was token gated access only, and now they're transitioning to a more like public access mode. Um, I started out wanting to build this game as utility for our holders, and you know, obviously, we want more attention to come to the collection, thus benefiting our holders. And a big way to do that is to have the game be token gated. Um, you do need a minimum number of players to make these things, you know, viable, profitable, exciting. So I think there's a threshold that every game needs to find on their own. So ideally, we can hit that threshold with just token gated access, right? Where you have to own a V2 validator in order to play in these tournaments. And but maybe we can offer like different game modes where if you have a validator, you can set up a private match and play with people who maybe do not have a validator. I don't know exactly what all the game matches are going to have. For me, like my singular focus in developing the alpha of this game is making it fun, making it smooth, making it memorable. And then if you don't have that, like you don't have anything anyways. So I want to focus there, all my energy and attention. And then once we have that, right, we have beta play and we bring in a couple testers and they're like, dude, this is a good game. You did great. Then the next question is we get even more feedback. We do more trial and error to see exactly what lane this game is going to thrive most in.
That's cool, yeah. And, you know, it's very difficult to know exactly what's going to happen. And you have to, as you were saying, evolve with the times, because you've tried loads of different strategies, you iterate a strategy, and then in the end, hopefully you're getting towards the optimal. And I think you guys have already been doing that very well with what you've been doing with the mining smart contract and Revamp. So I look forward to what's going to happen with the games, and that's going to be really cool. I think we'll wrap up now. So I think we'll give Josh and Dave last thoughts, and then we can just wrap up. So go ahead, Josh first.
Thank you, Rad and Dave, for having me, for inviting me on. Thank you, everyone. Of course, every time we have these spaces, and even just like one or two people show up, it means like you guys actually care about what we have to say. And that's always something that I want to show tremendous gratitude towards. So thank you so much, every single person, for being here. Thank you for the always first is the supporters. Thank you for supporting us through thick and thin. And then next, it's for the people on the fence and the people that are actually like fudders. We're working hard to bring like fun, joy, and satisfaction to everybody. It's not like we're trying to block anybody out, and it's a great challenge to make that a goal, to hopefully turn everyone around into saying like they're doing something special and unique and exciting over there at Gnogen, and we won't stop until we get there. So thanks everyone for being part of this journey.
Love it, Josh. Yeah, I think the majority, at least from what I can see, really see that and really do appreciate it. So I want to thank you for coming on today. This was a great chat. I'm sure everyone enjoyed what we went over today, and hopefully we have some more of these soon. And yeah, thanks for everything you've done. The new collection is just absolutely phenomenal. Everything works flawlessly, and it's going to be an exciting year for Gnogen and everything to come. So congrats on what you have accomplished so far.
Thank you so much. You're right. You said it. It's going to be a great year for our community, for Gnogen, and hopefully for MVX. Signing out, guys. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you for coming, Josh. And I think it's really impressed me very much just how great and smooth and easy to use. That's, I think, one of the most important things which the Multiverse X team has really shown with X Portal and stuff like this. And embedding this in your dApps is really cool, amazing to see. And it'll be great to see it on X Portal soon, which I know you're working on. So yeah, I think it's been a pretty amazing week. And the phase 2 of Nogens obviously off to a really good start. And I'm really looking forward to the games and what else is coming, and just the community to enjoy this moment. Because I think too much in NFTs, people go, as soon as something's out, just like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? When's that out? When's that out? Is it out tomorrow? Is it out? You're like, just enjoy it for a few weeks, just give at least a month to enjoy this beautiful art. Go look at other ones that you might want to buy, snipe, or just enjoy the smart contract and stuff as well. I think there's too little not enjoying the moment and too much looking forward to the next big thing. So I hope people take that away as well. And I just want to say thank you, Josh, for your time. I know you're extremely busy and you've got so much to do. So I want to thank you very much, and thank you all the speakers and everyone else for coming out, all the audience. This has been xSpaces. We do this twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we just try and get the best content out there. We try and get a good discussion, really good builders to come up, and just seeing what's coming up next. Multiverse X is thriving at the moment, so let's talk about it and enjoy it. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming, and see you guys next time on Friday.